From students to seasoned leaders, corporate executives to community activists, from the boardroom to the classroom, front desk to the construction site, we travel the country having real conversations to gain perspectives and insights on what it takes to thrive. This is the iBuild America podcast with your host, Byron V. Garrett.
Greetings and welcome back to another great episode of the iBuild America podcast. And you know, we always talk about politics, we talk about business, we talk about workforce development and entrepreneurship and how to help get people from one station in life to the next. And this week, we're in Southeastern Michigan, and I'm sitting here having a phenomenal conversation with Keith Ledbetter, who's president and CEO of ABC, and he's also the president and CEO of SEMCA. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Hey, thanks for being here today. Welcome to Detroit.
Thank you, and this is a great facility. I should tell folks, I said Southeastern Michigan. Technically, we're in the outskirts of Detroit. Is that how you would describe it geographically?
Yeah, we are. We're just a few miles away from the city of Detroit.
And I'm curious, you know, you all have a brand new facility that's in the process, still under construction and renovation, which is phenomenal, by the way. How did you even get into this particular work, and why?
Hey, sorry about the dust and construction,
That's
but
all right.
we are a construction academy, and we represent the construction industry. So ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors, is a trade association, and they've been here in Detroit for 50 years now. They decided 40 years ago that they needed some type of skilled trades training program that would allow young people coming out of high school to actually get educated in skilled trades.
So this is not a new idea. It's not because of the pressing job market and the workforce demands now, but you go back literally 4 decades.
It's really remarkable that the business leaders 4 decades ago were thinking about the same things and having the same conversations that we're literally having today.
Does that mean we're not making any progress?
Oh, I think we're making a lot of progress. They
Okay.
understood that there was a need for skilled trades training. I think, frankly, over the last probably 4 or 5 years, there's been a lot of talk in America about how we need to really invest in that as maybe an alternative to going to college.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because in every political campaign, people always talk about jobs, 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 jobs. And in this particular show, we talk about what does it take to build America, and the students that you actually have in SEMCA are literally physically building America.
We're so proud of the role that we play at ABC and SEMCA because we are building America and our young people are building America. These are young people that just came out of high school, maybe some even went to college, but they decided that they want to be in the skilled trades. They hate sitting behind a desk. They want to work with their hands. They literally want to build a legacy by being able to see on the landscape that those are buildings that they built with their own hands.
So you don't have to have a college degree to do that.
No, and some of our students do, but generally what we find is the folks that want to come into our program, they're just not good sitting behind a desk. They're a little hyper, they want to be out there, they want to be active, and they're just repelled at the notion that they have to sit behind a desk in order to do work.
And I know we were talking earlier, just as we were doing a tour of the facility, about the demographics, and you all are heavily male-oriented. Have you seen that shift in your time? I know you've been here about 9 years or so.
Yeah.
Or has that maintained and been pretty steady?
So since the time that I've been here, I think that we had 0 women in our program back when I started 9 years ago. I think we're probably up to a couple dozen, which, it's not where we need to be. We have over 800 students total in our program. So it's a small percentage, but I think we're making a lot of progress in that area. Also, we're seeing huge diversity in terms of ethnicity, races, and things like that. We're seeing that we're providing opportunities for a lot of young people that really felt like they were maybe left out of the existing opportunities.
And it's still not completely free, so it's not like I'm going to a program that's completely covered. People are still coming out of their pocket and investing in themselves to get these certifications and additional training.
In our case, we pay, it's about $4,500 a year. We wanted to keep it low. We are a nonprofit. But at the same time, we understand that people need to invest something in themselves.
That's right.
And we find that people who have actually written a check, come here and spend their own personal time here, investing in themselves and their career, that those people have sticking power. In the times in the past where I've actually gotten them jobs, gotten them free tuition, they don't appreciate it, and usually they don't have the staying power.
And so if I come here and I finish the program, it's 1 year, 2 year, 4 year? Give me some context for what that looks like.
Sure, it depends on what the trade is. An example, our largest trade is being an electrician. The electrical program is a 4-year program. With the carpentry program, we have a 1-year program. You're learning the basic foundations of carpentry. You're learning how to do basic framing of wood framing, metal framing. You do a little bit of drywall, a little bit of mud and taping. You're getting your OSHA certifications, things like that. You're learning the basics. You're not by all means an expert after 1 year, but it gives you at least a leg up coming out where you know some of the basics, particularly if you're just coming out of high school.
And then tell me, if I came here, so I'm spending $4,500 a year, whether I stay 1 year, 3 years, what's the monetary difference in terms of getting the additional training and knowledge so that I can be competitive in the marketplace?
So if we talk a minute, as example, in the electrical trade, you know, typically you're going to start out, you know, because you don't really have any skills or abilities when you start out. So, you know, you might be making 15, 18, maybe even 20 bucks an hour starting off with unskilled. If you can complete 4 years in our program, you take your journeyman exam. It requires 8,000 hours of on-the-job training while you're actually going to school. If you do that, we're seeing wages somewhere around 40 bucks an hour for those students.
So you need a combination to be highly effective. What I'm hearing you say, it's a combination of not just coursework, but also practical working experience to know that you've, I won't say mastered the craft because I get it in terms of certification and levels, but essentially you've amassed the knowledge that's necessary for you to go to work.
That's right, and we have an apprenticeship style program, and what that means is you're working during the day and you're going to school at night. We believe that the work component is really important. We're in our shop area today, so this is where some of our students do the hands-on. So there is a hands-on component to what we do here for our students, but there's also academic and coursework in classroom and a lecture setting. So it's a combination of those things here, but then also going out on the job site and having a mentor out on the job site. Maybe it's a journeyman that you're following around, learning those skills as well, and then the company way of doing things. Every company has a different way of doing things, learning that system from them as well.
Now, a lot of people talk about, and we didn't discuss this earlier, but a lot of people talk about the need still for soft skills and how do you engage and show up on time. Is that part of your program at all, or is that an element you find critical for the students that come through the academy?
It very much is. We have a program that we use called NCCER. It's a nationally recognized curriculum. It includes some of those soft skills discussions, but we also have those discussions here. We don't necessarily write on a chalkboard or something, but it's very clear when you're in our program that there's an expectation that you work hard, that you show up on time, that you show up at class. So as an example, in our program, it's 6 absences and then you're done for the year. Because
really?
we believe that if you cut class here, you're probably also not going to work.
So wait, I want to make sure people heard that. So for this particular program, 6 absences.
For a year.
So if I miss 6 within a year, is that because I didn't call or I didn't show up, or just 6 period, regardless of why?
So we get 4 excused absences and 2 unexcused absences. But again, we're not trying to make professional students here. We're making people who we want to be good in the workplace.
Right.
And you can imagine if you're relying on this person to go to work and they're not showing up, they're not going to be a great worker. I don't want our name and reputation on a diploma that you're using to get a job when clearly you're not someone who's going to be reliable.
Well, and I think that's so critical because I know in the various roles that I've had in my career, and I talk with people about the transition, whether it's from college to work or high school to work or voc ed or tech school, whatever it has been for them, and the people who have most difficulty are those who don't have that stick-to-itness, they don't have the willingness, and you're right, there's a pattern of behavior that forms. And so that example of 6 absences, the more and more I think about it, in the work environment, because you may not actually get 6 chances. I know some employers will say, you know, you got 2 and you're out. Or you didn't show up. It's a no call, no show. I don't care why you didn't show up. That doesn't work for me because it's not the best business model.
You know, in our society now, there's this concept we call ghosting, where both employers and employees sort of disappear. Like what happened?
Ghosting happens at work? Is that what you're saying? I know it happens in relationships and dinner dates.
It does, and it also happens at work. Frankly, we hear it all the time where a construction company hires someone, asks them to come to work on Monday, they never show up. They never call, they just disappear. And I think we got to get better at that, but we're going to teach values associated with this, again, not by writing words up on a board, but by demonstrating that these are the important things that you need to be a great employee. We're trying to make these people really have a healthy life and success and a career. And so those are really important. You really can't have a great life and a career if those values aren't associated with your life.
I love that. So I'm curious too, I mean, you've had a similar vast career. You've worked in kind of the government sector and the lobbying sector, and then shifted and made a hard pivot to say, no, I don't want to do that work anymore. Would you say this is now your life's missions or your life's work?
I'm really passionate about this. You know, I've always wanted to make a difference in the world, and I know that sounds cheesy, but at the same time, it's really important to me. You know, part of my free time, I've helped launch a charter school in the city of Detroit. It's something that I do on my free time. But yeah, this has become a passion of mine. You know, we were here setting up a few minutes ago, and the Amazon driver came in, and he delivered, and he said, I want to talk to you a little bit about this program. Are there opportunities for me as a
Meaning
former...
they have a job now.
They have a job now.
But they're interested in what you all have to offer.
Exactly. And they said, like, hey, what would it take to be an electrician? You know, I'm originally from Detroit. And these are great stories of people who maybe didn't have a lot of opportunities growing up, but they see this opportunity now, and when they come in, they see the school, and it's beautiful, it's clean, it's neat, it's organized, it's highly professional. It's like, wow, they have this aha moment, like, I found my people. You know, they may not find their people when they're off at college or doing these things, but they find their people here, and they're like, I want to go there. I want to be associated with something like that, and this makes me feel like I have a home in the career industry.
Well, and I appreciate that, because I think in this day and age, people are always trying to do better than what they were doing or how they're currently doing. And so to see somebody who currently even has a position saying, I see potential in this opportunity, tell me more, how do I learn more? Is that kind of how people find out about the program?
You know, through many paths, but, you know, earlier today, you know, the painter who's here doing some painting said, hey, Keith, I was studying your program. Can you tell me a little bit more about it? So this type of thing happens all the time. Most people don't know there are these things called trade schools, because really, for the most part, they haven't been in existence for a very long time.
Yeah, we tell people they need to go to college.
Yeah, exactly. So now there is this conversation that's taking place. I'll tell you, in the 9 years that I came here, when I first got here, we would try to go into high schools and say, we want to talk about the trades, and we weren't welcome. The administration says, hey, you know, our kids are going to college. And we found out, you know, for all sorts of different demographics and within the schools. Now we're being begged, can you come into our school? Can you talk about this thing? And we don't want to be in the auxiliary gym. We want to be in the main space with everyone else, with all the colleges, because the reality is in Michigan and most parts of the United States, 2/3 of adults 25 and older do not have a bachelor's degree.
So 2/3, and that's in the state of Michigan?
Yes.
Do not have a degree.
Do not have a college degree at 25 years and older. So what happens to those people?
I was going to say, so what are they doing? Where do they end up?
Unfortunately, what happens is maybe they go to college for a year, they drop out, and then they're lost. You know, they're working at the car wash, they're waiting tables, whatever those things are, but they feel like they don't have a career path. And how do they get back on a career path? And so that's sort of the message that we have here, is that there is a career option for you that's different. It doesn't mean that it's a less than career. This is all the opportunities and more. We have a great opportunity in construction for entrepreneurship, creating your own companies. And so we like to say, hey, if you have the hustle and grind and you want to be the owner of the company, you have that ability too. It isn't always being about the labor. If you want to be the laborer your entire life, great. If you think that you have other gifts that you can provide, there are a lot of opportunities along that continuum.
I love that, and the pathway, when you think about to success, it takes different forms depending upon the person. And as you mentioned, some people don't want to sit behind a desk, and some people don't want to be in a call center on a phone all day. And how do you think in this day and age with the automation of AI and technology, how does that interface with what you all are teaching from your perspective?
Hey baby, AI is not coming for the electrician jobs. You have to be hands-on, you're right? When you're trying to diagnose a plumbing issue, you know, you're going to have a person show up.
Right.
So the first jobs that really are going to be taken are those that are computational jobs. Typically, it's in the STEM careers because computers can do that a whole lot more efficiently. But when it comes to the trades careers, like, you're going to need someone on hand to diagnose these issues and actually do the hands-on. Sure, there will be AI tools, and we're going to welcome that, but at the same time, there are opportunities for us. And particularly, you know, we are changing the power grid in America. We're going from something based off of petroleum to an electrified grid. Well, who's going to do that? It's going to be our electricians, and we at SEMCA are going to be happy to provide those to America.
Yeah, I'm curious, when we think about the work that you all do and given your vast knowledge and experience, and we talked about you're from Tennessee originally and I'm from North Carolina, do you see there's a proliferation of these types of programs from a trade perspective across the country? And if so, do you think that's because of the political conversation, or is it truly out of necessity right now in the workplace?
You know, Associated Builders and Contractors is a national association, and they have trade schools all across America, probably in most of the states. There are some other programs and other associations that do that, but ABC decided a number of years ago that this was going to be a focal point, and I think it's just sort of happening organically. You know, it wasn't this idea that somehow we're going to take over America with trade schools. It just so happens that there was a need out there. We're trying to provide skilled tradespeople, skilled people for our companies in construction, and this is the way to do that. And that's why we're a little bit different. We're not just a school. Our business is not being a school. Our business and our mission is to get people in the construction industry. And so that's really what our focus are. That's why we keep the tuition low, and we're really passionate about this thing, because our mission is to get workers out there that have skills.
And what's the placement or success rate like? So someone says, oh my God, I went to college, I spent all this money, got a degree, and now I can't even get a job for what I studied. Does that hold true in this same case? I spend money, I get involved in the program, I get the training, I finish it, but can I still find work?
So we expect you to find work while you're here going to school. And again, you know, if we focus on a 4-year program, we see that usually by year 2, pretty close to 100% of our students coming into the program have get employment in the industry. So that's really important for us. We don't believe that you can really complete a program like this and be successful if you don't have the on-the-job experience. Now, I'll tell you that, usually in your first year, you're going to figure out whether you like it or not. And there is a percentage of students that decide either that they don't want to be in construction, life circumstances happen, or whatever, they don't like our school, whatever the reason is, they don't want to be here. So there is a portion. But by the time you get past year 2, if you're in year 3 or year 4, you're almost always coming back.
So it almost sounds like it's harder than going to college in the sense the level of commitment that's required, because it sounds like I'm going to be working during the daytime and I'm going to be doing my coursework and training in the evening. So it's not just a regular day of I got classes on Tuesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It's like getting a master's degree. We have a rigorous program, and we're proud of that. We want our kids to struggle, because if they struggle, like, life is a struggle. And so these are really skills that are incredibly important for their overall success. So absolutely it's a struggle, and we welcome that, because our people are gritty. They're willing to work hard, and we're going to celebrate that, and we're going to hold those people up and say, wow, that person is going to come to school, and they may have already put in a 10-hour shift, and they may have been at the workplace at 7 a.m., and they may not leave here until 9 o'clock at night. So they've got 14 hours in, and they haven't even gotten home yet, all so they can get up the next day to go to work.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Well, it's a different level of commitment, right? Because they're folks, as I hear you and they think about the trades, they're coming to be very focused on what they want, and they have a very clear goal, end in mind, and a timeline in mind for what they want to do next.
I think 100% of the students that come here and are just insistent on being successful, they have the right values and skills, they don't give up, they keep pursuing, they keep grinding, 100% of those students are successful.
Wow. Sounds like we just need to replicate you across the country in a whole bunch of markets at the same time. Maybe AI can help us do that.
Well, and I think that's already happening, again, organically to some degree, that some of that stuff is happening. But, but to your point earlier, like, maybe not everyone has that level of commitment. But for those who are really looking for an opportunity, are really hungry, if you are looking for an opportunity, you're hungry, you're willing to do what it takes, you will be successful.
So with that in mind, and I want you to say it directly in the camera, if you were talking with a potential student, what would you tell them are the top 3 things they need to do right now in real time to be successful, to make it through your program?
So for our program, 1, it's being committed. It's coming to class every day. It's being serious about your career and making sure that you're putting the time and effort in. 2, when it comes to getting a job, it isn't just about going online and looking on Indeed for jobs and stuff like that. In construction, they want to see you show up with work boots on, a t-shirt on, and a resume in hand that says, this is me, I'm in trade school, do you have a job for me? It's just simple as that. They're not computer people. And I would just say, just generally, like, stick to it, grind it out, be willing to persevere through challenges. And that's true for all of us. My first job was I detasseled corn. I pulled the tops of corn stalks
People don't
off.
know what that is, so I'm gonna get you to say that again. My family had farms, so when you say detasseled corn,
detasseled corn.
That.
I was like 14 years old. I went through rows, quarter-mile, half-mile rows of corn stalks, and I yanked the tops off of them. And it was hot. It was wet. The stalks cut your arms. It was hard. It was grueling, and it was really good for me.
It was good for you. Why? Because I'm going to give you my pivot from that in terms of why I thought it was good for me. So I'm curious.
Yeah, and I've got several examples of that in my personal life. But understanding that you have to make some suffering and sacrifices in order to be successful. That's what it's all about in life, and so we're going to put them through that here as well.
Well, for me, so my grandparents had a farm in North Carolina, and then we primed tobacco, right? Similar process as you think about working through the field. And you're right, you're not out at 8 a.m. You're out at 4 a.m. because by the time it gets 8 or 10, it is going to be incredibly hot, and you don't want to be doing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it allowed me to make a decision to say, this is a career path. Obviously, my grandparents had did well. They were sharecroppers and ended up managing and owning this particular space. But it also let me know, as my grandmother would say, now you have another option. You can go to school, you can get training, you can go to vocational school, as they called it back then. You can do something different, or if this is what you want to do too. And I was like, nah, I don't. I appreciate this, but I don't want to be looking for a copperhead snake every other row. I don't want to be doing that as an adult. But I'm thankful for the experience because it taught me the ability to stick to it, whether I wanted to or not, because it was very clear. I've got a row of tobacco. I know where I started at. I know where the end of the row is. And I know once I do that one, I'm going to turn and I'm coming back in the other direction. But that hard work and the work ethic formed my mindset around what is not only possible, but what I may actually want to do long-term in life, which I knew was not going to be in farming, not on the agriculture side of the house at all.
You know, I think there's a temptation to believe, sort of when you kind of grew up, meager existence, that somehow there's a lot of people that had the shortcut, that they didn't really have to work hard to be successful. And it's just not true. You know, I grew up, you know, I started off in a mobile home, and or even a travel trailer, and then moved up to a mobile home, to a small house in rural Tennessee, and so now I'm CEO of this organization, doing incredibly well. But I didn't have, there was no shortcut. It was all about the work and the grind and putting it in, and you can do that, you know, going through the college route, but you can also do that being in trade school and doing those things. So don't think somehow that everyone else has the shortcut except for you. It requires hard work to be successful.
Well, you know what they say, that there's no shortcut to success. The only place that success ends up is before work is in the dictionary, literally. We've been discussing this week. I do have one final question for you. How do you build America in the work that you do?
I think it's really exciting for us because we are taking young people who maybe just graduated from high school, and we're teaching them how to actually do a trade, how to do construction work, how to be a carpenter, electrician, an HVAC technician. And those folks are going out there in the workplace and literally building the buildings that are America. And that's part of what we love in construction, is you could drive down the road and you say, I built that, I built that, and I built that. We are building America.
Wow. And you heard it right here. I couldn't even use words better myself. You heard it from the president and CEO of SEMCA. That's the Southeastern Michigan Construction Academy, live from Michigan. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on iBuild America podcast.
Build America.